Now, listen to the lies this cop is going to tell this guy. But what I really love about this video is the end. The commentator, what he's going to say at the end. Oh my God. It's the most beautiful thing I've ever heard in my life. Understand that. But watch this interaction. The guy, it was a phone call to the police saying some guy was 16 with a firearm. Police pull up, put cuffs on this guy, imprison him. Because understand something. Anytime the police stop you, right? Anytime they just stop you, you're in prison. When they stop your freedom of motion, right? You're in prison. Understand that. They ain't got to put cuffs on you. They just have to stop you. Once the police stop your freedom of movement, right? You are in prison. Understand that. They call it detainment. It's imprisonment. Okay? If you look up imprisonment in the Black's Law Dictionary, the 4th edition, you'll find detainment. Understand that. Detainment is one of the definitions of imprisonment. Understand, sir. Understand that.
Are you okay with just... I'm going to give this to you. As soon as I leave, you do whatever you want. Okay?
What about the knives?
I'm giving it to you.
Don't put it in the gun?
I'm saying as soon as I leave, do whatever you want. If you want to load it as soon as I take off from here, that's fine. You can load it. I don't care what you do. All right? I'm going to give you my card. If you got any questions you want to follow up, that's fine.
Have your name in?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Right. Dude, have some ID on you. It's that simple.
You don't need to. That's the whole point of the
Okay,
Constitution, Fourth Amendment.
That's fine. Okay.
Secure my person and papers.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. And in the state of Texas, as a Texas peace officer, if I see somebody open carrying a firearm and I have any reason to suspect that they may be unlawfully carrying that firearm, that's sidearm, I can request ID.
Help cause or reasonable suspicion?
No. In reality, that is a Second Amendment violation. Your Second Amendment rights shall not be infringed. So this means that they can't even make a gun law. There aren't any gun laws. If any state has a gun law, they are violating your rights under the Constitution. No state can make up any laws that are repugnant to the Constitution. That's the law. So these people have been using the color of law to violate the Constitution. Understand that. They've been using Title 18, 241, 242, and 1866 black codes to violate your rights under the Constitution. Black codes means color code, so any color, any term other than American, the police can use the color of law, 1866 black codes, against you. If you call yourself anything other than American, that's why they use these colors. And then they put the police out there that don't know the law, right? And trick them into violating your rights under the Constitution. Cop-splaining his terrorism against you. Understand that. Cop-splaining their terrorism against you.
Beautiful reasonable and articulable suspicion. That's what I just got done explaining to you.
Underage?
Yeah, and the violation was you being underage, not 21. That's what it is.
But Stewart said he's probably over 21.
Okay, exactly. Okay, that's what she got here. I don't know who you are.
Right. No. I get that.
You-
You weren't going to take me out of the handcuffs regardless until I told you.
Yeah, so I can confirm. Okay, that's okay. Whether it took a minute longer, 2 minutes longer, whatever. All right, up to that point, you were being. Okay. Well,
You just say you don't care about it.
No, of course I do. Of course I do. I care about both, deeply. But I also care about people, respect of what the law says. And the law says that as a peace officer, if I suspect anybody who's violating,
Sidearm only though? Is that what you said
specifically pistol, yeah, because there's specific laws about pistol. You know what they are.
You don't know the
Texas
code?
the open carry law. What's that?
What's the penal code so I can look it up?
Why don't you look it up? I know what the penal code is.
I don't. What is it? Say
Okay.
it directly.
All right, we're not going to sit here and have
You don't know it.
We're not. Okay.
That's not what it says.
Okay. All right.
That's okay.
You're free to go. You can look it up all you want. Okay.
Like,
Unless you do really want me to look it up for you specifically.
I would
Okay.
appreciate it.
I'll help you out. I will help you out.
What does it say?
Section 411.205. The law says that if a person with a license to carry handgun, in this particular case, because we're open carry now, so
Okay.
a lot of the verbiage hasn't caught up yet, but is carrying a handgun and is asked by a peace officer to show ID, they must show both.
If somebody has a license to
Okay.
carry, but how does that
Well, so
continue?
because the LTC, so there's still a lot of catching up that the terminology of LTC and open carry has, because like I have an LTC, but I don't need it anymore.
Right.
Wait a minute. This is right here. He's gonna tell this guy that everything has changed. He knows it, but he still is trying to cop-splain, right? He's still gonna try to cop-splain his terrorism. These police code and policy enforcers are domestic terrorists and do not, I repeat, do not know the law. Period.
So this law that the cop is citing pertains to when the state of Texas used to tell you that you had to have a permission slip from your master to carry a firearm, and we called it a license to carry. Now, the way that worked is when you bought that permission slip from your master, you signed on the dotted line agreeing to a bunch of terms and conditions. One of those conditions that you signed agreeing to being that when slave patrol, also called police officers, catch one of the slaves with a firearm, the slave is immediately supposed to show his master's permission slip to have that firearm. However, in 2021, the state of Texas finally recognized that one has a constitutional right to carry a firearm, and therefore wrote into their legislation that you don't have to have that permission slip from your master to show slave patrol. So when the cop is saying that the verbiage hasn't caught up with the new open carry laws, what he's trying to say is that there's still old laws on the books that violate the constitutional right to carry, and that he's still trying to enforce those old laws.
If you don't have an LTC, you now do not.
You heard him right. Did you hear what he said? Let's run that back. Let's run that back a little bit. Let's see where we at. Because y'all didn't hear him clearly, evidently. But understand something. Dude just hit y'all with straight truth.
Particular case because we're open carry now, so
Okay.
A lot of the verbiage hasn't caught up yet, but
See?
is carrying a handgun and is asked by a peace officer to show ID, they must
Wait a
show
minute.
both.
If somebody has a license
Okay.
to carry.
All right, we're not going to sit here and have
You don't know it.
We're not. Okay.
That's not what it says.
Okay. All right.
Hey,
That's
wait.
You're free to go. You can look it up all you want. Okay.
'Cause this is
Do you really want me to
ridiculous.
look it up for you specifically?
I appreciate it.
I'll help you out. I will help you out.
You really...
Section 411.205. The law says that if a person with a license to carry a handgun, in this particular case because we're open carry now, so
Okay.
a lot of the verbiage hasn't caught.
He knows this. But he still is trying to cop-splain his terrorism. And as you can see, he don't even know what he's talking about. It's not open carry. It's constitutional carry. You see, not no amendments. You see what I'm saying? Constitutional. Understand that. It's a difference between the Constitution and amendments to the Constitution. You see, according to the Constitution, according to God, every man has a right to protect his family, his property, and his life. Understand that. The Second Amendment don't give you the right to bear arms. You have a right to defend yourself under the Constitution, period. No one can strip you of your right to defend yourself. And that's just what these people have done. With 1866 black codes, 14th Amendment artificial persons. Understand that. That's why I love what he said. Because he's telling you the truth. 1866 black codes. If you call yourself any kind of color, you're saying you're a slave. 14th Amendment, that's artificial persons. They made you a slave with the 14th Amendment. Understand something. How did they do that? When your parent signed that parent's worksheet for the birth certificate when you were born, your parent made you a ward of the state. And your parent convinced you that that birth certificate is you, your name. And it's really not. It's a 14th Amendment artificial person. It's a company. All politicians know it. All judges know it. All attorneys know it. The police don't know it. They have no clue. That's why they give them qualified immunity when they totally screw up and commit murder. Understand that. Qualified immunity is what they get for not knowing the law. Yeah, all judges, all attorneys, all politicians know what qualified immunity is really about. It's really about slavery. It's really about genocide. That's what qualified immunity is really about. Because as you can see, this police does not know the law, and he does know that their code and policy has changed, but he's upholding old unconstitutional code and policy instead and trying to cop-splain his way out of it. Yes, these people, these politicians, these judges, and these attorneys all think you are a 14th Amendment artificial person, 1866 black code slave. Understand that.
Yeah, but is carrying a handgun and is asked by a peace officer to show ID, they must show both.
If somebody has a license to
Okay.
carry, but how does that continue?
Because the LTC, so there's still a lot of catching up that the terminology of LTC and open carry has, because like I have an LTC, but I don't need it anymore.
Right.
So this law that the cop is citing pertains to when the state of Texas used to tell you that you had to have a permission slip from your master to carry a firearm. And we called it a license to carry. Now, the way that worked is when you bought that permission slip from your master, you signed on the dotted line agreeing to a bunch of terms and conditions. One of those conditions that you signed agreeing to being that when slave patrol, also called police officers, catch one of the slaves with a firearm, the slave is immediately supposed to show his master's permission slip to have that firearm. However, in 2021, the state of Texas finally recognized that one has a constitutional right to carry a firearm, and therefore wrote into their legislation that you don't have to have that permission slip from your master to show slave patrol. So when the cop is saying that the verbiage hasn't caught up with the new open carry laws, what he's trying to say is that there's still old laws on the books that violate the constitutional right to carry, and that he's still trying to enforce those old laws.